What's going on, everyone? So we know when it comes to the upcoming Scream 7 that Sidney Prescott is supposed to be one of the main focal points in this upcoming film. Courtney Cox, Gale Weathers is expected to return. We don't have any full confirmation that she's returning, but I'd imagine that she will, right? She's been the only one that's been in every Scream movie. And also, if Nev's back now, I'm sure that she'll be like, okay, let's at least get one more in together. I think you could tell a fun, interesting story with those two. But beyond that, what's the plan, right? The idea is that, okay, this will be a Sydney-centric film, but also potentially introducing a new group of cast, new group of characters. Got to imagine that at least one of them will be kind of the new sort of face going forward, right? The new final girl that they'll carry on to create more films, because it's already been talked about that they want to make more films. They don't plan on stopping to make more films. This is something that has been kind of regurgitated several times. I've talked about it heavily dating back to Scream 5, that they'll make 10 of these if they can, because they spent so much money to acquire the rights that they're going to want to make their money and then some. And as long as they're good films, right? None of us are going to complain about more good quality Scream films, right? But that's the key. Got to tell good stories. You got to build good characters. Whoever you end up having being the new kind of it girl, the new final girl, post Sidney Prescott, you got to make sure you develop that character properly. And it looks like potentially there is a candidate in place. Now, you have a new actress that is rumored to be in this film. Again, all this stuff, take it with a grain of salt. Nothing is concrete and confirmed until we actually get the confirmation from the studio. But Zion Moreno is supposed to be in this film. She doesn't have a huge filmography. Supposedly she was in Gossip Girl. I'm not very familiar with her and her work, if I'm being honest. If you are, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on her down in the comments. But she kind of fits the mold of just that wholesome girl next door, not this huge star that they can kind of keep long term and don't have to worry about her, doing a Marvel movie or something like that, right? Even Jenna Ortega. She was somebody that it just felt like eventually they were going to lose her one way or another, because she's doing, Beetlejuice and Wednesday and all these other things. But now with the departure of Melissa Barrera, they're going to need to build some type of kind of main girl that they could kind of build future installments in. And Zion kind of seems like she could be that type of just, not huge known star that comes in that people aren't really familiar with, right? I mean, even dating back to Nev, right? Nev, yes, she had a couple things under her belt, but she wasn't the Nev Campbell that we know and love today, right? She was, in many ways, still kind of wet behind the ears, kind of, trying to make a name and career for herself. And then she started rattling off all these projects and stuff. But so it's very possible that this could be kind of the direction that they go. But again, you have to build her properly. One of the big problems with Sam Carpenter, portrayed by Melissa Barrera, was people didn't like her. They didn't do a good job of building the character. They didn't do a good job of having us, the audience, buy her as the, okay, this is the Sidney replacement. This is the girl that we're going to probably have several films with. Because that was the intention, that, okay, here is your new face, and we're going to pump out, 3, 4, 5 films. And I mean, obviously now Melissa has departed for reasons not Scream related, but she was supposed to be the foundation piece. And now they need to create a new foundation piece, which is something that I've expressed that I personally want at some point. Again, I'm all for Nev Campbell returning. I'm glad she is. I'm glad she got her bag. Go get your money, right? I'm glad that they were able to kind of put the differences aside and she was able to get on. And, I understand that that's kind of the safest bet as far as hey, we're going to do another Scream movie, but now we don't have the characters that we've been trying to build. So what do? Okay, let's do one with Nev again and establish a new character, right? Again, maybe you have Zion because Melissa, when she came in as Sam Carpenter, there was a lot of excitement, right? There was a lot of hey, here's this actress, she's got some stuff under her belt, but she isn't this huge commodity, right? Let's see what she could do. And then they brought her in, and it was just very disappointing, right? Like, and so much so people wanted, Jenna Ortega or to get rid of Sam. And then they did do a better job in Scream 6 building her character and kind of expanding and allowing Melissa to kind of have a little more freedom as far as acting goes. And people really came around to her, right? People really started after Scream 6. Scream 5, the consensus was she's not it. We need to do something else, make Jenna Ortega or get somebody new, whatever, right? And then after Scream 6, the consensus was kind of like, okay, yeah, like I can see that. I can see Melissa Barrera, Sam Carpenter. There's a lot of story that you could potentially continue to tell. And, again, unfortunate things didn't work out. So now they are back to the drawing board, but you can't, last thing you want to do is have that situation again where fans and audiences are just like, this isn't it. Right? You bring in, say, again, Zion, and let's say she's the one that is the new girl going forward. Last thing you want to do is like, okay, after Scream 7, we're all just like, all right, we need 5 more Sidney movies because she isn't it, right? Like, and there also is the perception, which, audience members and, even fans like ourselves, you watching this video and myself, right? Like, we still also have to give these characters a chance, right? Like, because there is this like, it has to be Sidney. Let's do Sidney. And again, I'm all for Sidney Prescott continuing and kind of carrying forward. But we also need to understand that at some point, she's probably either A, not going to want to do him no more, or B, it's just going to move away. I mean, how many times can you tell the same story about Sidney Prescott? How many people want her dead? How many new motives and directions can you go with Sidney? Now, I do think that there are still several under the belt, and I still think that you could still have her in, right? But I think you still need to have like a clear established, okay, this is the girl. Sidney is still a big part, but like the story and narrative is going to kind of be driven by this new character, and Sidney is going to kind of be co-star, supporting the overall story, right? Maybe she intertwines in one way or another, right? So they have to make sure that they do a good job in building whoever that new character or characters, right? Because it wasn't even just Sam, right? But it's just Sam got the most criticism. Melissa Barrera got the most criticism because she was supposed to be the girl, right? She was like the Sidney replacement. There's never replacing Sidney, but you get my point, right? Like the new final girl, the new it girl. But like beyond that, it was like, even Chad and Mindy, it was kind of like, yeah, it's cool that, Randy's relatives and stuff, but like, who are these characters, right? Like, they didn't do a good job of really building and establishing and allowing you to know who is who, right? Like, we got Chad's the jock because he's wearing a Letterman jacket, but he's not like a jerk jock. He's like a kind, sweet jock. Okay, cool. Like, Mindy's the movie nerd. Okay, cool, but like, she's outspoken and stuff, but like, what is her? Like, who is she? Like, added some depth, right? You go back to like 96, you saw the depth in the character. Like, you didn't need to wear a Letterman jacket to let us know who's who, right? It was clearly established just through the dialogue and interactions of the characters, right? They did a really good job of just building and establishing said characters. So if Zion is going to be the new it girl, like, same thing, you gotta utilize her and build her in a proper manner to where the story and whoever the supporting characters around her are, if you do establish a new core 4 or 3 or whatever, it's just, even if it's just her that survives, you need to make sure whoever you have is like the passing of the torch. There's somebody that you have audiences and great story building and great storytelling, which again, it comes down to ultimately the writing, right? Because an actor and an actress is also only as good as the words on the paper, like what they're supposed to be able to translate, right? Like, if you don't give them much to work with, then they only have what they have to work with. Now, granted, it goes the same way. You could have excellent writing And if the character is if the actress or actor is just not up to par, right, then you can still have some flaws, but you can always, like, good writing, in my opinion, always seeps through, always translates, right? We've seen characters that, that you look at and you go, man, like, if somebody else played that character, that would be a home run. But just like there's times where, you see an actor, like Sidney. Can you ever imagine or picture anybody else other than Neve Campbell? No, she knocked that out of the park. But she had a lot to work with. Right? The writing was good. The direction was good. Same thing with Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers. Could you imagine anybody else as Gale Weathers? No, because again, these actors and actresses embody the translation, right? Like, so again, I'm all for them building new characters. I think that they have to, but you got to do right. You got to make sure you're putting these characters and these actors and actresses in the best position possible to really kind of suck in an audience. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. That's a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you like the idea of Zion potentially being, the new It girl? Again, you never really know. A lot can change. Even like the rumored actors and actresses, it's very possible that some, if not all, right, Judy Greer was supposedly linked to this film for the last month or whatever, and now it looks like she might not be a part of it anymore. So again, things happen, things change. So, but what are your thoughts? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.